everyone. I'm Sahil Priyadarshi. I work in International Finance Corporation as technical lead for South Asia. I'm supporting the Green and Resilient Buildings program. Thank you so much, Alini, and the panelists for lightening our job for this particular session. You have really covered a lot of spectrum. What we are going to dive deep into some of the challenges and opportunities. And some of the things that we have been actually hearing since morning today, we had another session in the morning with the experts. We had a lot of views, feedback on the challenges and opportunities in the practices that we are doing here. So we are going to take that forward with the feedback and opinions that we have got from the panels here on financing, on designing green, on getting to net zero, some of those things with the consultants who I consider as the backbone of the entire thing. So what I have planned here with the experts who are going to be on stage in a while, that we dive deep into some of the challenges because they have been actually working with different kind of projects, dealing with different regions, geographies, different clients, their mandates, their agenda. So it would be good to have their feedback to understand the entire spectrum a little bit deeper. And then we can think about where we are actually doing enough that is currently needed. So before I start, I'm going to do this a little bit differently. And my first question for this session goes to you. Can anyone tell here that out of the entire building stock we have in India, how much is green certified in terms of percentage? Any rough estimate? Less than 2%? Any other number? Sorry? 10, 15? Yes. Yeah, so based on the current building stock, the number that I know of, it's less than 5%. That's some people say it's 2%, 3%. I consider it less than 5%, and I'm talking about the certified or the footprint, the registered number. Let's also consider there are properties which are not certified but actually doing sustainability. Maybe another 5%, 10%. So you can imagine the delta there. It's more than 80% that needs to be addressed right now. And the real problems that we are facing right now is because of the existing construction largely. And that's the difficult job we have to do. Nobody literally is looking into that area that well, that deeper. So let's hear out from our consultants and experts who are trying their bits and catering to this part as well. And we'll love your feedback going forward that how you can also address. We saw some examples, Brookfield, for example, you've looked at your existing properties, you have taken some steps, some retrofitting, and then going forward, you have some targets to get to net zero. So these kind of examples will actually also help us to look into other properties and decide what we can do more on those areas. So given this background, I would like to invite the first panelist of this particular session, Ms. Samita. So may I request everyone to have a big round of applause for Ms. Samita ji. So Ms. Samita is by training an architect and currently a director at Ella Green Buildings and Infrastructure Consultants, and has been in the green and sustainability space for over 18 years. That's really a rich experience, and is an ardent advocate of sustainable living. Over the last decade, she has trained more than 8,000 professionals. I can't even imagine that number. So, in the field of energy efficiency in buildings and green buildings, uh, she has also consulted for more than 1,000 projects on green building services. She has been recognized by Niti Aayog as Women Empowering Lifestyle for Environment V Life and awarded the Telangana State Energy Conservation Award. A round of applause for you. And in 2018, she also founded the Ella Green School, the Telangana in Chennai, with the prime focus of sowing seeds of sustainability in the children at very early stage of their life. Today, Ella Green School is IB authorized and caters to more than 400 students. So that's really amazing. Now, with that, I move to the second panelist, who is Mr. Sirish. So, Mr. Sirish Chandra, please, may I request you to come on stage? And you have already heard Mr. Sirish in the first sessions. So, Mr. Sirish, glad to have you here. And while you come on stage, I'll quickly introduce you. So, Mr. Sirish Chandra is the founder and principal consultant of ALF Green Consultants, has dedicated his career to fostering sustainability by training as a mechanical engineer and masters in total quality management, along with his status as a chartered engineer. His extensive expertise in consulting and business development, particularly in engineering sectors. Sirish established ALF Green Consultants to help organizations navigate the path to sustainability, and his innovative approach and unwavering dedication ensure that the firm remains a leader in sustainable innovation. So glad to have you, Mr. Sirish, here. Now I'm going to the last one, but the youngest one in the group, and doing some incredible work at his career in the sustainability, Mr. Abdul Moeed Chaudhary. So may I request you to please come on stage, and can I thank you. Though being youngest in the panel, he has done some phenomenal job in last few years. He's a sustainability consultant with over 9 years of experience in simulation, green building, thermal and visual comfort, and other energy efficiency services. He's currently the managing director at Essential India Green Edge Consultant Analytics Private Limited. He established his firm in 2020, and since then he has been consulting on different green building certification projects. He has done more than 50 EDGE projects, training over 100 candidates for EDGE Expert exam, and leading India's first EDGE Zero Carbon Ready residential project, as well as the world's first EDGE Advanced Life Science building. So some amazing projects you have worked on, and then you have worked across a span of 36 million square feet project, featuring landmark developments such as India's first EDGE Advanced Certified Mall and EDGE Zero Carbon project by Tata Realty. So glad to have you, Abdul Moeed. Thank you so much, everyone. So now we'll go to the sessions. So we have heard from panelists today about the success of EDGE for many types of companies across India. As EDGE consultants and auditors, each of you has had experience with multiple projects in the region and across India. So I'm going to pose a question to each of you, and I'll request you to keep it as interactive as possible. Please feel free to jump in anytime in case you have any feedback. So I'm not going to pose any question to any of you specifically, but feel free to come in. So let me take that seat, and then we'll So given the background, I'm sure you heard the previous panel, and would like to have your opinion on challenges. I would like to start with that first, and then we can go to opportunities and other parts. So what are some of the challenges that projects across India you may face in implementing green building practices and using EDGE for verification? So I would like to start with that, and maybe Samitaji.
Yeah, a very good afternoon to all of you here. As you said, challenges, I mean, it's not specific to a typical type of project or a specific region for that matter. Where we have worked a lot on existing buildings. And some buildings are as old as 12 years or 15 years. And when we go back and ask the operations team, give me some things like HVAC layout, or give me something on air conditioning, or what kind of roof insulation went in. So these are data that they don't have. And it's a fairly reasonable. So these are the little challenges that we've been facing. And another thing that we have also found, because each typology of building structure has its own requirements. Let's say, for example, hotels, which we've done quite a few right now, and they have their peak seasons. And it just so happens that we end up, going for an audit during the peak season. So the accessibility to, the number of rooms as required by the rating framework. Or let's say we're going to a hospital building, which we've also done. We've done the Rainbow Hospitals chain, and you can't just get access to, let's say, ICUs or critical care units or centers like that, which is fair on their part. So these are some challenges that we have faced in terms of practical challenges while doing the work. But otherwise, I think we've only had a enriching and learning experience from this whole process.
See, our experiences primarily has been on the on the existing buildings, of course, but more on the hired spaces in terms of the office typology, because there are multiple tenants in one asset, and data availability in terms of documents, or in terms of drawings and everything. This has been one of the major challenges. Because that is what also delays your process of going ahead with the certification. In addition to that, we have also seen that in a typical hired spaces in offices, the common areas is where sometimes the requirements are not met. So that is sort of a challenge where we have to again go back to the client to check and then see how those aspects can be addressed. But otherwise, more or less, other type of buildings or typologies, it's been a smooth process, to say so.
Hi everyone, good evening. So I can see, let me discuss the challenges based on the building typology. Then maybe I can discuss the challenges based on the rating level. So for example, let's say in case of residential building, if it is a high-rise building, then it is become difficult to achieve the edge advanced certification. And because the wall proportion is very much in the high-rise building, and such building the high-rise building, they uses the Maiwan construction, basically reinforced concrete wall, external wall basically. So in such construction, achieving reducing the resistance value, or you can say the reducing the RU value, it becomes very difficult. So that becomes challenging. For example, in case of existing building, if it is going for edge standard can be achieved, but making edge advance, it becomes difficult. For example, let's say a building has a chiller, and the chiller COP value is 5.2 or 5.1 COP value, but area of such building is let's say 50,000 square meter or 1 lakh square meter, and the base case COP value of chiller is higher in case of base case. And in such case, to make the edge advance, it become difficult. So retrofit will be required in such cases. And for example, life science building, which is recently one of our project achieved the world first life science edge advanced life science building in the world. So that was like little bit difficult to achieve the edge advance because they're having a space constraint, but somehow we did exercise through the edge app and tool, and ultimately were able to achieve the edge advance certificate. And these are the challenges I can see is residential and in commercial building, existing building, commercial office building existing, and the life science building. There are other building sector also there are challenges, but not as much as office and residential building. And just one thing, in case of hotel category, we have helped achieving the Taj Wellington to achieve the Edge Advanced certification uh, 2 years back. So, but now in the version 3, it is will be difficult to achieve the Edge Advanced because the base case become a little bit more stringent. So, to achieve that, maybe we have to go for the heat recovery wheel system so that we can save the energy, like energy, and help achieving the edge advance. Thank
So
you.
these are great points, and we all understand what are the challenges we can, have in existing buildings, and it's really one side we know that it's very important to address that segment, but on the other side we are listening to the challenges that we are having. So I would also, I'm sure you have figured out a solution also to this, going forward. So would like to dive deep on that also in a while, that how you have addressed some of these. But since we were just talking about existing, are the challenges, but are there any challenges for the new build segment as well, is where also I would like to take your opinion on.
So as far as we have worked with new buildings, it gives us a good tool and framework to adopt the integrated design approach, where we sit with the entire set of consultants, work together, and identify where we can actually, invest certain, money in terms of what is the best efficiency. I think that way the tool gives us a very robust framework to start with. So in terms of new buildings, we really haven't faced that much of a challenge as much as it is in residential, where it is a global challenge, at least in India, because high-rise buildings are now 35, 40 floors, residential buildings, and there's no other quicker, more viable technology than the MyOne technology currently. And we do have this problem of the thermal property of these concrete walls not being very effective, and how do we achieve that is a solution that the market has to give us, and we have to, it's a lot more. Maybe insulated panels, how do we work this around? This is something that is going to take another decade or so before we actually arrive at a viable solution for all. It's not just one project specific or edge specific. It's something that we have to look at as a larger platform from the manufacturer side.
On the new buildings, because we haven't faced any challenges per se, but yeah, the best part or the beauty of Edge, if I may say so, is that it being it takes a quantitative approach, right? So at the design stage, when the building is on the drawing board or on the canvas, it becomes that much easy for the consultants like us and also for the client, where we can sit across the table and, if you can use the word, we can play around with the tool to really understand what sort of an impact it's got on in terms of the costing, in terms of both the financial and the environmental impact. So that really gives that much more leeway and bandwidth to play around with in terms of your design, so that you do not have any challenges as you move forward. Now, from the learnings we had, especially on the lease spaces, now what we are doing for any opportunity we are currently working on, that we are working out with the clients on the tenant fitment guidelines, so that we need not wait for the building to have the interiors done and everything. So we are taking an approach of certifying core and shell sort of a approach, and then have the tenant fit out guide in place. So overall, that makes the process of designing much simpler for a new project.
So in the new building also, I can see there are challenges, and it especially when the consultant get onboarded when the BOK is finalized or the specification is like already completed, and in such cases you cannot play much. For example, like window proportion on the wall or the orientation of the building either. So the orientation play or that material, it become difficult to change if you are got involved in the later stage. So in case of new building also, the making the edge standard or edge advanced certification becomes challenging. So it is important to onboard the consultant at early stage. And what I learned from like working on the existing building as well as a new building, I found that there is a much scope towards the HVAC side or maybe MEP side, because in case of through the HVAC, because the cooling energy consumption is approximately 40 to 60% of total energy consumption in the building. So, and if you are not able to play much on that, then it will be difficult for you to achieve the edge advanced or edge standard. Or if your building is not edge advanced, then definitely you will not able to make as edge zero carbon. So I think we have to work in case of existing building, we have to much play towards the lighting and the HVAC. And in case of new building, maybe the building envelope properties, for example, the glass, U value, SHGC, and other properties maybe need to be looked into. Thank you.
Yep, great points, and maybe I can just add one or two from our side as well. When we talk to clients, what are the things that we typically see as day-to-day challenges? One of them is awareness about doing green buildings or whatever sustainability you want to do, but doing it in a right way. There is still a gap that we feel. Many people think that we know what needs to be done, but when we go into the verification stage, we realize that it's actually not aligned to what you wanted to do and where you want to go. So there is a huge gap there as well, and that's where I see a role of consultant coming in and guiding them on different aspects and hand-holding them initially, specifically for people who are trying it for the first time. They need that support from you, and once you have tried it out for one or two projects, it typically works. And the second challenges we see specific to verification. There's a lot of greenwashing that many of us are aware of. In case of edge, because you raised about the challenges about edge, one of the things that we have, I don't know how many of you know, but one of the things that we have included in our process is that IFC, because we have created edge, we are not going to certify. So that's where Sintali comes in, who is a third-party, reviewing committee, and they have accredited some, again, third-party professionals who comes in, audit the project, do the verification, and then do the certification. So IFC is not part of that process anywhere. It's completely independent. So it's like somebody else telling that your property is actually meeting the requirements, not just the green building requirements, but also is aligned to the requirements that you have set for your business propositions. So about the challenges, now we know. I also want to talk about opportunities, where I'm sure you'll talk about the solutions for these challenges as well. So in which segment do you see edge bringing most value in? Do you have any examples from clients that you want to share that you have worked with?
So yes, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to work on edge projects right from its inception here in India. I think I would say 2016 onwards is that when edge made a beginning here, right? And we worked on, our first set of projects were a chain of hospitals across different locations in the country. The nice part was the intention was right. The clients were committed to making a difference. Whether the push came from, it was not something that we had pitched for, it came from them, whether it was for financing purposes or, but the intentions were clean and clear. And so for us, when we started using, it was new to us also. So we started using the tool, we started experimenting, started understanding where, as we went around doing the audits, the energy, the water, and there were so many areas in which the hospitals could benefit as a result of trying to estimate, trying to benchmark this. So I think in Rainbow Hospitals, I think exactly in the Hyderabad campus, we had to install aerators, water flow restrictors, and the savings that they achieved after that was a sizable sum, and they were able to. And at that point in time, there was no edge advanced. That distinction wasn't there, so we were able to achieve these pointers. And a more recent experience, I would say, is again, I think we've been fortunate to have a chain of projects here in the Leela Hotels that we did recently. The beautiful part of Leela Hotels is they had a lot of measures done. Like I think they'd mentioned, the completely renewable energy in their Chennai and I think Bangalore. They have heat recovery wheels, you name it, and they had it. Dimmer controls, lighting sensors. But the nice part was here, we were trying to understand where they stand. How do we quantify? Where do they go from? Because they have a huge commitment, a target in place to go, to net. So if we start now with all the measures, so where do we stand in terms of net zero? Where do we stand in terms of energy, water? So this was a beautiful exercise for us to help them understand where else can they do better. So, they've already set a very high standard. So how do we go from there to better? So that has been a very enriching experience for us in terms of using the Edge tool, Edge app, and working closely with the client. And in all these cases, I think we've been fortunate. We've never had to face any greenwashing clients. We've only had clients who meant what they have reached out to us for. So.
Sahil, to answer your question, primarily our experience has been in two typologies as far as the projects are concerned. One is the warehouse and other is light industry. And now when I'm talking about warehouse, and I would like to cite an example of one of our projects which we have done for GMR, where it was an existing warehouse, and the GMR group had a mandate, had a sustainability mandate to build their assets which are as energy efficient or as efficient as possible, environmentally friendly. So initially the warehouse had conventional urinals and all that stuff. Okay, those things had to be retrofitted and they were converted into waterless urinals and all that. And in addition to that, they had taken some measures to increase the energy efficiency by installing on-site renewable systems, which has given them a considerable savings. And if you look at edge-wise, I think they had attained a savings of around 77% in the energy. And similarly in the water also, apart from having waterless urinals, they had also had STPs installed at a later date. And that had given them an savings of around 84%. That is considerable in terms of the base savings as per edge, much above than the 20%. So these are certain retrofittings which have been done by the client to meet their sustainability goals.
Yeah. So far, Abdul, we have heard about hospital, hotel, and warehousing. Any other building segment that you would like to talk about where you have seen this as one of the fruitful opportunities for everybody, not just for consultants but for client as well? One common point that is coming out from that end that I'm hearing is as early as you decide to start your green journey, that brings even more benefits and ease out the entire process, not just intangible outcomes, but real tangible outcomes. So anything that you want to share about?
So I, as a consultant, I as a consultant, I have like almost all building typology. I have worked from the hotel to hospital, bungalow, residential, warehouse, almost all except a data center. So I think I can talk about the lab, and then maybe the maybe about a zero carbon of office building as well as a residential building. So let me talk first about the. We have time? Yeah. So let me talk about the retail, that lab kind of thing. So long back in 2020, I have helped one of my client, and they were already doing good work, like sustainability features adopted in the building, like they use the wall insulation and the roof insulation, and it was like the project was a Stylion Laboratories Private Limited. So that project has achieved Edge Advanced certification, and also later on uh, achieved like become India's first H zero carbon ready project at that time. So the good part over here is that sometime you are doing the good work, but as you have not used the tool or software, you are not able to know how much good work you are doing. So when we analyzed their project through the S software, we found that they are doing really good. Like building has been designed really good. Like they use a PU insulation on the external walls from internal side, and similarly on the roof they were using the polyurethane sheet also, and the so basically through the S software we able to uh, understand like where their building is performing, and based on that certificate they reached out to the European countries and they marketed them that uh, basically we are Edge Advanced certified and India's first Edge Zero carbon project, etc. So in this way they marketed in European countries as well. So this is a one example. There is a one what you say a G+2 apartment in uh, Mohali, and for that project there was a very famous architect in India. They have designed it, and the architect had designed the building, but he is not knowing that how much energy saving, water saving, and material saving. But through the S software and tool, we told that yes, your energy saving in your how the building which you have designed, around 80% energy saving. And then later on, they applied at various forums that our building is performed this much. And for another project, let's say Tata Realty's H Zero Carbon project, and they were doing all the things, and they achieved the Edge Advance. But at the time of Edge Zero Carbon certification, uh, 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 we went to the site and understand from their operation team, and we found that 80 to 80, 90% of offsite renewable and electricity is coming through the offsite renewable energy. And then we analyzed and found that if you can make a 2000 ton of CO2 carbon credit or something, and in this way you can achieve the become India's first H zero carbon project. And later on they become India's first H zero carbon project, and they presented in COP27, I think. So there are big opportunity and available if you become H zero carbon or Edge Advanced certified building. There are many more things to talk. Maybe I will end over here. Thank you.
Thanks. I think you have raised a very good point. Unless we know how much we are doing, unless you know whether you can actually measure it, you won't be able to set a target for yourself to further improvise on your practices. So, and that's what Edge enables you to on different segments, and you can utilize that as a resource to then continuously improve yourself. I know I've got just 2-3 minutes left. So very quickly on your own journey in terms of letting us know how Edge has helped you growing your own business. Any thoughts, any examples that you can share?
So I think I've been fairly in this space for a long period of time. And I've clearly seen the transition from why green to how green. So, I had to go to clients and tell them why they would want, why should they go green. Today, it's not that anymore. It's, I think, a lot of awareness, the need. It could be a global push. It could be, a demand side, requirement. Whatever it is, the shift has clearly become how do we achieve green. And this is where I think our Edge tool or Edge app and the whole paraphernalia that surrounds this whole rating framework has helped us in trying to pitch to our client or trying to explain to them. So most often when we do heavy simulations back end, it's very difficult to convey it to the client. All that they want is, what is my savings, what is my investment, what do I need in terms of what is my payback period. That's all that they would want to know. Of course, if they want more details, we can go in. But when we don't have a simple tool, a simple framework where as they're talking, you enter the value, show it to them and say, this is it, this could be it, this is what we need to do. That I think Edge has given us that platform and that tool for us to be able to make things easier and the conversation easier between us and the clients. So I think I should thank IFC and the Edge team to put us on this platform. And the experience that we have gained working with different kinds of projects and different clients across different sectors, and they've all been global players. So we have gained a lot of insight and exposure into sustainability in the built environment. So I thank you for that.
Sahil, as far as we are concerned, we've chosen to be with Edge for the one simple reason that it falls in line with our sustainable goals, in the sense that as an organization, what is that we want to offer to our clients. At the end of the day, if you look at any client across board, what they want is something to happen very simple, easier and faster, and most importantly, low cost, right? Unlike other comprehensive rating systems, what we have seen is Edge is focusing on resource efficiency, and especially for markets which are highly price sensitive and where resource optimization is the key. We felt that Edge is one of those rating systems which obviously will give that value add and also help them to get the certification done at faster timelines and sticking to their deadlines as well. Now, additionally, I would also like to mention in terms of how it has helped us as a business. We have seen that there's been increase multifold, I would say, from the time we have started focusing on Edge as a service. And because it also, at the end of the day, is giving value add to the customers, right? So more, at the end of the day, we are all driven by what the customer requires, right? So that is where I think we feel that we are well aligned to the market requirements, and that's where Edge has been one of those which has helped us a lot. And most importantly, in terms of the resources, which I should mention, one would not require as many or as much as resources what a typical or a conventional rating systems would require. So we have also saved on our resources while helping the customers to save on their resources.
That's great. Very quickly, Abdul, what's your experience?
Sorry, but I will take little more time over here.
Just 1 more minute.
Okay. So let me then quickly tell. One fine day, one of IFC team member has called me and told that there is a certification. I would like to know you are working on other green building certification and building simulation. And I told her I don't want to work on the green building certification, just I want to be focused on the building simulation because I don't want to do like not documentation kind of thing. Then when I met him, ultimately he convinced me and I met him. And he was saying that, can you tell me in which country the S certification, like more S certified buildings are there? And I told maybe US or UK. Then he was saying, no, it is in African countries or Cambodia, something like that. And why not that these countries, developed countries, why only underdeveloped or developing countries? He was saying that our main focus or agenda is to focus on the lower pyramid of that, because only top people are adopting the green building for certification, and the bigger portion is remain as not going for the green building certification because of difficult process and etc. Then I thought that it's good that in India, we can make in India buildings are a green building certified, maybe little bit, but at least whatever they are doing in the correct way or ethical way or in the good manner, not a kind of fake documentation or something. Then from that day onward, I started the green building certification, and then we made India's first zero carbon project, and then first as advanced certified mall, first as advanced house, something, many more. So there maybe we can talk in the networking session if anybody want. Thank you.
Thank you. So with this, I would like to end the session and just summarize what we have heard from the panelists here. So starting with the challenges for existing and new buildings, and somebody I think already commented that we really need to look at the existing building. And now we know there are some challenges in terms of getting access, in terms of getting the right documents, because building may have been built a long time back, so you need the operational data, you need the design data at times. So let's prepare ourselves to work with our team so we can have all those evidences, documents ready for consultants who are really keen to support you and help you cross your targets, benchmarks, and continuously improve your impact. And then on the opportunity side, we have seen that it's quite open for any building type you talk about. Edge is applicable for literally anything, and it's just a matter of you taking earlier decision, so it helps not just you but everybody in the supply chain, and you create a larger impact and reap the maximum benefit out of it. So with this, I'll end, and maybe Alini, if we can have just 1 minute for any questions in case somebody has, and then we can close it. One question. Okay, so open to everybody. Any question? Or we have one.
So as a green building consultant, like what is the difference you have seen between energy conservation building code, IGBC, and how Edge is very special, or how Edge helps in certifying or rating the buildings? Like what is the difference?
So you are saying the ECBC, no, energy conservation and the
Yes.
edge.
So what is the difference? Not only ECBC, but like GEM or IGBC. So anything. So about all these certification.
So predominantly, when you're talking about ECBC also clubbed with certifications, ECBC is just a baseline. It is not going to give you, of course, in Telangana you have different stars, but just meeting the requirement is what is considered as the code. And it's only a code. It's like your ashtray for America. Whereas your certification systems benchmark your performance as against a baseline. Whereas ECBC is just your baseline. That's one predominant difference. Between Edge, between IGBC, LEED, and other multiple certifications, ultimately the goal is the same. So, I mean, in one certification, you may show 35% savings, in another it could be 33 or 37. That varies because of protocols and other things, but the intention is the same, the goal is the same, the measurement parameters may vary. That's the only difference.
Thank you very much to the panel. I am going to cut you guys short as I am conscious that time is ticking and we've got a couple more presentations to go. Big round of applause for our amazing panel and the moderator.